It's not a mock draft. I'm going to look back at some drafts that I've done. My cash leagues that are finished. How did the teams play out? They were slow drafts, but you get to see what the teams look like right now. Michael Bolton, he's already seen them.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I went to my trending page over on Twitter, and I saw Gucci third leg, and I just assumed that they made some sort of avant-garde pants with like more legs than you need. What else could it be? I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok, at redrock_bball, and on Instagram, at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Use the promo code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. So, like I said, I do all these mock drafts. We do them all. We talk through it. We talk about strategy. We talk about ideas. We talk about the thoughts on players and building and runs and scarcity and ideas of head-to-head. We talk about all that stuff, and it's all building up. And I think the more you listen, of course. Hey, by the way, thanks, everyone. Operation 75K in the books. We hit it. Let's go 80 next. 80K. Let's hope we can get it before season starts, regardless. The more you listen to when we talk about that, you can form your own opinions, but I think it's just a lot of different things about, well, this guy's going to go here, these players will go here, these stats are going to be harder to find here, so I need to do this, and this strategy might work because other people are doing that. And we just did the show earlier today talking about Joel Embiid and looking at ADP and just looking at value drops compared to pairings and strict builds and all that sort of thing. Different ways to do it. People go, man, I want to see your real drafts. I want to see your real drafts. Of course, there'll be the people that go, he doesn't play in real leagues. He doesn't actually play fantasy. He never does. Which, of course, if you ever watch the show, you know is complete garbage because every week last season we did a check-in on all of my leagues and showed all my teams and all the results and the standings every week. But, So, the leagues that I've had that are money leagues and the real leagues that I've in are all slow drafts so far. I do have one auction. Industry Pickups auction draft is happening. An industry pickup, is the league with all the analysts that we're doing to try and make something like this that's available, that happens in baseball with like tout wars and labor. Doesn't exist in basketball. So we wanted to start it up. And last year we had one league. I finished on top of the regular season standings by about 15 games and then lost in the semifinal, which was so annoying. Rhett Bauer won that, so well done to Rhett. This year we expanded it out. We had a one league, 12-team head-to-head 9-cat last season for industry pickup. This season we're doing a 12-team head-to-head 9-cat snake draft. We're doing a 12-team head-to-head 9-cat auction draft. And we're doing a 12-team 9-cat or 8-cat. Don't know. It's one of those. I can't remember. Roto snake draft. So we'll do 3 industry pickup leagues this season. And we will expand it out to more next season in terms of probably a draft and stash, probably a points, probably a best ball or something in there as well. Maybe something deeper. We'll see. We're going to expand that out next season again. So we've got 36 individual fantasy analysts competing. Now, I am in the auction draft this time. Last season, I was in the main one. I started this along with Alex Raclean and B-Dub from FBI, and I was in that one. This season, we're splitting up ourselves into different spots that we wanted to go to, so I am in the auction version of Industry Pickup, which I will broadcast that auction live on this show. Yes, that's one of the drafts I got coming up. Got another league that's been running about 5 years that I think for 4 years, which is Jared Johnson, who used to be on Roto World. He runs that. I'm in that league, and I won that one 2 years ago. Last year wasn't as successful. I think I finished 7th maybe. But it's an auction draft as well. I don't know if that's actually going to go ahead this year. Jared's trying to get times, and that probably happens next week as well. But there is a chance that doesn't go ahead. I hope it does. And I have done 4 real drafts so far. Slow drafts. I've done the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl drafts. I did an FBI draft-only draft. And I am currently in the FBI World Cup draft. I'm just waiting for that one to finish. So I can't show you the results there. So all of those buy-ins of $50, $100 for some of them. Industry pickups, 100, whatever it is. I can't access Yahoo prize leagues. I can't play in them. It's impossible. I can't play Underdog Best Ball. It doesn't allow me to. So I can't go in and enter those. If I could enter Yahoo Public Leagues, I'd enter 1 million of them, and I'd be pretty happy with it. But I can't do it. So these are the ones that I'm in. And also want to make sure I've got an ability to manage these leagues. Because I'm not going to put out 30 different teams and try and manage them all because you end up being not successful. So in saying all that, let's take a look at the teams that I've drafted so far. And, how they looked, how they played out. And some of them, honestly, they were drafted and they finished maybe a week ago, or some of them 3 weeks ago. I haven't looked at them massively since then. But let's go and take a look at how they look. And the first one here is my Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl Points League, which is, I'm in the yellow division. Yeah, division. Let's call it Yellow League in the Maze division. So we've got all of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl leagues have colors. There's a broad color for the actual league, and then each individual division is divided up into a different color. This is Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl Points Yellow, and I'm in the Maze division. And I drew pick 1. So, of course, I took Victor Wembanyama at pick number 1. So I'm very happy with that start. We can go through this draft, and I'll leave it up, and we'll sort of just hover around it for a bit, and you can sort of see the picks. But at pick 1, this was third-round reversal as well. All Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl drafts were third-round reversal. I went Wemby, and then at pick 24, I went Ja Morant. And then pick 36, I took Jalen Johnson. So I'm pretty happy with that start. I'm pretty happy with the way that played out. These, again, were all 7-hour timer slow draft picks that started on the 1st of October. With my 4th pick, which was number 37, I ended up with Zion Williamson. Okay? So I've got 2 of the guys there in Ja Morant and Zion who've had some injury problems. True, that is a problem. But also players who get undervalued in points leagues compared to their category league value. And I think both Morant and Zion can easily be top 20 per game players. And that I got them both within my first 4 picks in the first 37. So I'm very good with that. With my next selection, the 12th pick of round 5, so pick 60, I took Rowan Barrett. This was before he suffered the shoulder injury in preseason, which I don't think is significantly serious, but he might miss a game or 2. I also have some worries about what the Raptors do end of season. These leagues all end. The final game is on March the 23rd, so hopefully we avoid a lot of the shenaniganizing that does happen. So I took Barrett at 60. At 61, I took D'Angelo Russell. Don't really have huge upside hopes for him, but think his floor is relatively safe. At the next pick, which is the 12th pick of round 7, so the last pick of round 7, that's pick 84, I took CJ McCollum. And then in the first pick of round 8, I took Terry Rozier. Now, I probably wouldn't take Rozier in a category league at that spot, but this is a points league. So I took Rozier at that spot at number 85 after taking McCollum at 84, and this was before the decision of the Pelicans to go with Herb Jones as their starting center, meaning CJ's value bump. So I like getting that value there. At my next pick in round 9, which is pick number 108, I took Scooter Henderson. Points league, efficiency matters a little bit because this is ESPN default scoring. But I do believe that he's going to get every opportunity to exceed that. These leagues are also a little bit deeper, and we have 40 game max caps per week. So there's marginal strategy changes. After taking Scoot there at 108, I took Andy Wiggins at 109. This was obviously before we saw any Warriors preseason games, and I wasn't sure exactly what they were going to do. I thought they'd lean a little bit more into Wiggins, but we just haven't seen anything. So I'd probably be a little bit more skeptical about taking Wiggins there. With the next pick for me, which was the end of round 11, 132, I took Andrew Nembhard. Now, I would have loved to have got a Zach Ricochet, a Sohan, Hendricks, any of those guys, Westbrook, who went in that round, but of course they all went, so I didn't get them. I don't love this Nembhard pick at this point. He is fine. Also, but I'm in a league here where we've got a games cap, so I wouldn't need to use him all the time. And there is some upside, I guess, if Haliburton is hurt, but I don't love that pick. At 133, I took Noah Clowney. Upside pick, we'll see. Games cap situation, 16-man rosters. I don't need to use him. I can hold him for later in the year. That's why I got him. Next pick, that was the start of round 12, which is pick 133. The end of round 13, pick 156, I took Ayo Dosunmu. Again, a little bit crowded in Chicago. White, Giddey, Levine, Lonzo. But we have seen over the last couple of years, there always seems to be a way at some point for Dosunmu to push into larger minutes, so that's what we do when we hold him there. This is a points league, remember. So at 157, I took the horse, Keldon Johnson. This was, I think, around the time that we found out about the Devin Vassell news, so I thought, would they give a little bit more to Keldon? And I do think it's going to be Julian Champagny now that starts. That doesn't mean that Keldon doesn't do more, because I think he does do more. I don't love that pick. My last two, I do really like. The 12th pick of the 15th round, which is, if I try and work that out on the fly off the top of my head, which I can't really do at the moment, 180 that is. I took Trey Mann of Charlotte. Massive upside if someone gets hurt. I think he almost plays more than Josh Green anyway. I love getting him there. And then my final pick at number 181 was Superman, Khalil Ware. Again, not needing to use it. Some upsides there with Mann, Ware, Clowney, even Dosunmu, I think is a little bit of an upside play on my bench for this points league for the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl. And we'll get back into that and look at the rest of my teams in a sec. But that's my pick. I picked from one. I'm pretty happy with how that worked out. I think my team is going to be pretty strong. I love my first four in particular. I think Barrett's a strong pick there, and I just hope that he is healthy and ready to go. Today's episode is brought to you by the Game Time app. Tickets, events, who doesn't love them? We all should, because they are fun to go to. But there's a hassle. Sometimes it's a hassle in finding the tickets that you want at a good price. But even when you used to go onto Game Time, like you could go on there and you could see the individual tickets, and there'd be a lot of options, man. So Game Time Picks is the new thing they've brought in, where it just cuts the fluff. It gets rid of the nonsense you don't need to sift through. It just finds the best value tickets for your event and shows them to you. And then you choose, and off you go. You're ready to roll. Of course, you can click on those individual seats, and you can get the view from your seat, a panoramic view of what things are going to look like when you get there. Maybe you're looking for tickets to the playoffs for baseball or NBA first week. I don't know. Maybe it's week 8 in the NFL. The tickets are going to be there. Might be a musical in your city. And the flash dealers, they're also something you can have on there. And they send you an alert. Hey, something's cracking right now. Discount, you want to go? And you go, of course I'm in, as the meme would suggest. So check all of that out over at Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Okay, we bring that back across, and you can see that we're talking about the Points League one there. Let's go to this league, which is an FBI draft-only league. This draft was from a while ago. This is one that Kingy put together for a bunch of fantasy analysts to just do a draft-only one. I think we did it, I'm going to say like 20th or 15th of September. You can see that I am picking all the way down there in number 11. And this is the draft that I've referenced many times, is that sort of when drafts were kicking off, middle of September, I made a splash and said, I'm taking James Harden at 11. And most people disagreed with this. Most people hated me doing that at that spot. And I said, I don't care. I actually think this is, I'm not believing in Kawhi. I think we're going to get big stuff from Harden. I am going in here and taking him at 11. And I think most of you would come here and say, okay, that actually makes complete sense at that point now. I was at pick 11. Remember, this was, again, in September, this draft. Took James Harden at 11. On the flip back around, I took Domantas Sabonis. So that's at pick 14. Okay, reasonable. In the third round, at 35, I got DeJounte Murray. This is a draft-only category league, so everyone plays. So it is a risky draft. If you players miss time, you're done, really. There's no bench, there's no best ball, it's nothing. Everyone just plays. So I've got Harden, Sabonis, DeJounte Murray at 35. Then we go to 38, Jaren Jackson, which I'm good with. And 59 is Julius Randle. Now, I'm almost certain that this draft was done before Randle was traded. So I could have still considered him here, but this was me thinking he was on the Knicks. So I don't know that I necessarily would have done that there. And you can see some of them, like Devin Vassell going with a third pick in round 6. Like, this was before we knew about the injury for him. Towns going in round 3. That's before this trade. So he would go higher than that in most situations. Kawhi going in the middle of round 3. Well, I don't know what Noah would suggest, but the official stuff on Kawhi and the knee and the surgery hadn't come out yet. So Noah wasn't based on that. Now, I wouldn't have taken him there because you know my thoughts and ideas about it, but that wasn't officially out. So I took Randall in round 5 at number 59, and then at number 62, I took Josh Giddey. On the way back around at number 83, Jordan Poole was available for me. Jalen Green actually went one pick ahead of me, and I was never going to do that, so I was pretty okay to get Jordan Poole there, and this was, of course, before that Brian Keefe said that he is going to be their starting point guard. So I just took a little bit of a plunge on Poole there. Yeah, hey, that didn't mean for that pun to happen, but it did. So I took Geordie there. Jusuf Nurkic, we haven't seen in preseason. He's been injured, so this was well before that. Interesting that NBA Fantasy Bible DMAC took Walker Kessler on the turn at 85, which is about where he's going now, but wasn't at that point. So he went really early on Kessler. So he made an interesting call, and I went Nurkic at 86. I wouldn't have taken Kessler there, but that's interesting that DMAC went early on that. You can look through. I'm just going to go through some of these rounds to see if anything sort of stands out as weird at this point. Mark Williams probably a little bit early before we heard about the foot strain, so that's whatever. Just going through the other picks around this area. I think that Avdia pick is a little early. Jabari Smith probably a little early, but whatever. I don't think there's much there that's crazy. Of course, Noah took Trey Murphy before the hamstring injury, which in that spot is actually totally reasonable. What is really intriguing is the next round. So I had pick 11 in round 9, which is pick 107, and I took Jakob Poeltl. Love it, right? Love the value of Poeltl there. This is, of course, before he came out and said, yeah, we're not actually going to trying to win games, which I guess you could say you knew, but anytime I would say the Raptors were bad, and of course, most of that's because they're from Canada, so they inherently suck, but I was like, I don't think this team's good. Many people go, oh, no, they'll actually be okay and they'll compete for the play. And I was like, I think they're bad. But Poeltl came out and said, yeah, look, this year's not about games. We're going to do stuff that is development-based and not winning games-based, which is definitely frightening with drafting these players. So I took him there, which I think is good value, but it's a little bit frustrating, especially when I backed it up the next round with RJ Barrett. And I should have been a little bit more strong in my convictions about this team being bad. But what is interesting is that Alex Barutha, one pick before I took Poeltl, went with Jaden Ivey, who at that point, we had no idea. What was the new coach going to do? Were they going to trade him away? Were they going to bench him again? Ivey's been one of the best stories of preseason. And Barutha got him there at 106 before any of that stuff happened. You can also see that Onyeka Okongwu went in round 9. We just haven't seen him in preseason, so we don't know what's actually going to happen there. Looks like he might be okay for opening night, but who knows? My next selection, as I just alluded to at 122, was Rowan Barrett Jr., who even though for years he hasn't been a top 200 fantasy category player, I think that his big increase in field goal percentage will stick. Points and rebounds and assists will get there. He'll hit some threes. The free throws can be bad, whatever. But I liked getting him there. Now, the injury's annoying, but I liked getting him there. The one that really hurts me in this format is that at the 11th pick of round 11, pick 131, I took Mitchell Robinson. Because they didn't have a center. We didn't know. Well, I was worried about Robinson playing. I was very concerned about him and his injury, and I was worried that they hadn't said anything. And about a week after this, I think, is when I came out and said, hey, I wouldn't be shocked if they randomly come out and say, hey, Robinson had another surgery and he's going to be out for months, which, of course, the next day they literally did. But I, the idiot, a week before took Robinson here, and I would never touch him in this spot in any situation anymore. So, I thought I was getting, I've let him fall far enough. This is enough. He's probably going to have to play, even though I've got some worries. I didn't have that strong worry that I did when I did that, whatever show that was when I talked about it. But he went there. I got Wiggins with the next one in my 12th pick, which is number 134. I get a lot of Wiggins in late rounds. I just think he's a little bit undervalued. But I also have no idea what the Warriors are going to do. If we go back and have a look through round 10 and 11 to see if there's any interesting picks, B-Dub grabs Saar at the beginning of round 11. That could be a really strong pick. Klay Thompson, you see, fell into round 11, which he doesn't in most spots. I actually agree with him there. I think that Gary Trent and Tari Eason picks are probably a little bit early. I like Noah grabbing Dyson Daniels in that spot as well. In round 12, any other interesting picks there? Norman Powell could end up being an interesting one from Kayla, with, again, no Kawhi news at that stage. And then Shaden Sharp was taken by B-Dub before the injury hit, but then he also went with Taylor Hendricks in the next round. So what did I do in round 13? I took Russell Westbrook with pick 155. I think he's going to play enough in Denver. I think he's relatively secure in terms of no existing injuries. He's going to hurt in some areas, absolutely, but he's going to do too much, and I'm okay with doing that with him right there. Vince Williams was selected in round 13 before the injury news as well, which is pretty hard to deal with. And then my last pick, a guy that I do get a lot, was Jeremy Sohan. I would have taken Noah Clowney. He went one pick before me, but I took Sohan there in this draft-only format. I've got 2 more leagues that I'm going to show you. I hope this is good. You're getting a nice look at these real draft boards with different formats and an idea to see how these things play out. And we'll get back and look at the next 2 as well. One's a Roto, one's a head-to-head category league. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. NFL fans, you can start the season off with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because you can be watching a game. Why wouldn't you be watching a game? That sounds like a pretty good thing to do. You go in, you watch a game, and you think that something interesting is happening. I've got an idea here. So you open the app and you open the page where you do the bets, and the stats are there. The play-by-play is there. And you can sort of make your decision based on your hunches, based on the numbers, and place your live bets. But you don't have to worry about having to go to multiple sources. It's all right there in the one spot. And if you are a new customer to FanDuel, easy to do. You go in, you place your first $5 bet, and they will send you $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. So head across to FanDuel.com right now. Check it all out, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. So let's take a look now at my Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl 9-cat league. I'm in the blue league here, and I'm in the Navy division, and I picked at pick number 8 in this league. This is much the same stuff as the points league. 16-man rosters, 10 starters, hard 40-game cap per week, large battle royale in the week ending March the 23rd. 9 categories, head-to-head matchup. You play 2 matchups per week as well to try and even out some of the fairness of the schedule. So I picked at 8, which is not a spot that I like. It's a weird spot, and that was the mock draft that we did early today, where I took Joel Embiid. And you know why I took Joel Embiid. Haliburton is who I got here, and I'm very happy to get him here, and I don't think you'll get him here at 8 in most drafts now. So I took Haliburton. On the flip back around, I took Karl Anthony Towns, and this was after the trade, so I got Towns in the middle of round 2, and then I went with LeBron in the middle of round 3. We're doing third round reversal here. So I'm sort of picking the middle of the rounds. I'm not going to tell you the exact pick numbers now because we're sort of in the middle and it's easy enough to work this out. LeBron goes round 3 for me, and then I took Banchero in round 4. And in this one, I did take Kawhi Leonard, which is not something that I would usually do, but I have been very clear that I won't take Kawhi in the top 50. But he fell. So he fell quite a bit here. So 50, 51, 52, 53 is where I took Kawhi, and he was sitting there. I didn't have any other significant injury risks ahead of him. If it works out, and I don't know that it will, if it works out, I'm pretty happy to get him there. I don't want Kawhi on many teams, and I haven't got him on any other teams, but this was one that I tried, maybe just trying to push into the playoffs and seeing what happens if he's available, because if he's available, that's an extra first-round player. And theoretically, Towns could be a first-rounder. LeBron could actually return first-round value. They could all not. Very easily all could not. But I think I've got a grouping of players there that it could easily turn into a bunch of 4 first-round type players. Kawhi, Towns, Haliburton, LeBron. LeBron's probably the iffiest, but there's upside in that. In round 6, I went with Julius Randle. I thought that he'd fallen too far. At that spot there, we're talking like pick 68. I'm good with it. I took Anunoby in round 7. Needed to get my steals up. Valanciunas in round 8, and I sort of regret that one a little bit. I'm worried somewhat about his upside, but I wanted field goals and rebounds, and that's really what was available. There wasn't much more going. Like you saw Zach Edey went in round 8. I probably could have taken Kessler there, but I wasn't certain about how they were using him. In round 9, I took Scoot Henderson. Round 10, I got myself some steals again with Herb. That is to complement the OG Anunoby pick. In round 11, I took Taylor Hendricks. In round 12, I got myself some Russell Westbrook. In round 13, I got Al Horford. Remember, hard games cap here. I don't need to use Horford all the time. I put him in when he plays. I move him out when he doesn't. I love it. Zach Ricochet at 14. 14th round, Zach Ricochet, pick 8. I don't know if he's going to start straight away, but I do like the upside value there. 15th round, Max Strus. Strus has some cold streaks. He has some hot streaks. Is it a total upside play? Not really. But I think at that point, if I get some injuries, like Kawhi, that means that everyone else needs to move up a spot, and maybe Hendricks isn't ready. Then someone like Strus can slide into my 10th spot. Horford can slide in, and we got that option there. Some safety, some upside. And then my last pick is another upside guy, a guy that I didn't realize I was getting as much as I did, and that is Trey Mann. From the Hornets, round 16, popping off so far in preseason. Love what we're seeing. Who knows what his role is, but there is clear role upside. And in some of these leagues with the deeper benches, with trying to maximize stuff for the playoffs where we can sort of sit on these players, I like that and seeing where that path could eventuate without it necessarily being an injury-based thing. So, if we look through some of these drafts again, these all started around October 1st, October 2nd. And we got some injury news and other things happening in the meantime. No one drafted Jalen McDaniels, even though after he was traded today, so we'll escape that problem. But overall, I would say that most of the news was out at this stage, apart from the Embiid revelation today, but I'd already banked that into when I play because you know that I already told you that's what I thought, and today's news backed that up. Who else is in this draft? Anybody I know? No, don't know anybody else that was in this particular draft with me. Just looking through any of the other picks that sort of stand out. This wrapped up about 4 or 5 days ago, I think, this draft. About 4 or 5 days ago. The last one we're going to look at is my Roto draft. So it's a 8 category, slow draft Roto, 85 games, or 850 total games, 85 games per starting position, 6-man bench, Roto, where we've got 16? It's 18 divisions, actually. We've got 18 divisions. I think it's 18 divisions. Maybe it's 16. No, 16 divisions. And there's prizes for winning your individual division. I think coming top 2 or 3 in your individual one, plus a grand prize for the top 3 finishes out of all 192 teams. So I picked in this one at 11. Roto, 8-cat. Harden, Ball. Paul George, before I heard about the news of them not playing or not playing him in back-to-backs, but it is Roto. So it's okay. I'm okay with getting Paul George there, even though that does seem early at 26. And in hindsight, I don't know that I would do it now. Miles Turner in round 4. Jaylen Brown in round 5. Brown does slide quite a bit. I needed to get some bigs, and I took Hartenstein at pick 71, and that's about where he's going now. So maybe it seemed a little bit early at the time, but I'm okay to get him there. I went with Austin Reeves in round 7. Players I could have taken there, like you see the run on centers, but I could have gone with a Kuzma. I could have taken Brandon Miller. I could have gone with a Colin Sexton in that spot, but I went with Reeves. And then on the way back around, the poop cookie, Michael Porter Jr. Now, I do not like when Porter goes in the 70s, but we're talking about pick 95 here for Porter. I could have taken Kuminga as well, but I wanted Porter's efficiency numbers to help boost me in Roto. In my 9th pick, so what pick is that? As I try and figure that out, that is 98. I took Trey Murphy. After Porzingis went the one before, we are in Roto. I do not need to use this guy every game. He's injured to start the season. That's good. So I got Trey Murphy there at the beginning of round 9. Interestingly, this is one of the drafts where Devin Vassell did fall. You'll see in most of my mocks, he doesn't fall at all. But he fell there into round 9, and I did consider him at that stage, but I took Trey Murphy, and Porzingis was the one before him. And you'll notice a lot of guards going towards the end of this round. Scoot, Keontae Rozier, Klay Thompson, Jalen Green, Josh Hart, all in a space of 7 picks. My next one was the 11th pick of round 10, so pick 119 overall. I took Alex Sarr. And then to begin round 11 at number 134, I took Mike Conley. Just some safe assists, and it's Roto. He misses games. We sit him down. All good. Someone there, Fuelless, took Embiid and then backed it up with Drummond. Very, very smart play in a Roto league. In fact, if I'm in a Roto league, I would take Drummond in round 9. Yes, his free throws are bad, but you can... The problem with Drummond in a daily changes head-to-head is that if he's playing 14 minutes a night, you're wasting a spot for weeks. In Roto, you just sit him down. And then when Embiid is out, you plug him in, bang, you're off, and then you move him to the bench. Perfect. Outside of the issues with free throws. But I would take round 9 for Drummond, round 8 maybe, honestly, like in that spot, even if I don't have Embiid. Because if you've got Embiid, it's great insurance. But if you don't have Embiid, you're killing the guy who does have Embiid. Not only will he lose out if Embiid is out, you gain. So it's a double whammy. So I don't think that it has to be handcuffed. I think you can actually handcuff somebody else. What do you do? Like, what's that? The FBI move? FBI, not the Fantasy Basketball International. Something, you're chucking the handcuffs on someone else. Hope that didn't turn you on too much. In round 12, in hindsight, what am I doing? Why did I take Wendell Carter there? I don't love it. But his game is okay, relatively Roto-friendly. It's fine. Yeah. Wow, I got Ricochet again. I didn't realize how much Ricochet I got in round 13. And then old mate Ed Saha took Isaiah Jackson next, which again, we've got stashability in this format. In round 14, I'm stashing Shaden Sharp. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know if he's going to be good, but I'm in round 14. And in 15, and this guy doesn't normally last either, Jaime Jaquez. Another one of those ones. If Butler's out, let's put him in, man. Maybe do we get top 100, top 90 run when Butler misses, and then we sit him on the bench. I like it. I made the pick, so I'd hope I like it. And the last one, which is, again, you might think it's anti what Josh does, but it's Precious Achiuwa. Because if Towns is hurt, this man's going to play 27 minutes. He might play 21 minutes as it is, and while I don't think he is very good, at some point, the bulk of minutes, it outweighs it. That's the idea in Roto. Look, this guy, Sharp is injured. Huckers is a Butler replacement. Achua is a Towns injury replacement. Carter is, for some reason there, I don't know. But Ricochet, let's see what happens. Saar, let's see what happens. We don't need to use them all the time. That is my Roto team. Now, in all of those teams, I have then gone ahead and moved anyone with injured tags into my IL, stacked up other guys off the wire just to see where we go. But that is currently where my rosters sit. And I hope that gives you a little bit of an insight. And we will have those auctions for industry pickup and maybe one other league coming across the weekend. I don't know if that was useful or not for you. I hope it was. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.